Hey guys, it's me Chiku from Chiku Study Corner. Today we'll be dealing with the part 2 of chapter 7 of Chemistry Class 12 CBSE P Block Elements. So, this is the chapter that we are discussing. As told in the previous session, we have the P block stretching from 13th to 18th groups. So, we are discussing about the 18th group now. And what all did we discuss? We discussed which all are the elements inside that. We learned which all are radioactive, which all are found in the atmosphere, which is the most abundant one. We discussed about what all else. We discussed about the, formation or the preparation of the last two of them, radon and xenon. We learned the preparation of that. We also discussed about the compounds formed by these elements. We learned the first elements doesn't form any compounds, rather xenon and krypton does form. And we discussed about xenon, which all we learned about the formation of xenon fluorides. We had to learn three of them. They were XeF2, XeF4, XeX6. And we have more of the compounds. We learned XeOF twice, XeO2F2, etc. We have to learn about these also, and XeO3. So these would be what we will learn in this session. So now what are we dealing with is, the first topic is the reaction of xenon fluorides. Okay, reaction of xenon fluorides. So we have to learn about two reactions. Hydrolysis, that is the first one, and the second one is reaction of xenon fluorides with what all? Fluoride ion donor atoms and fluoride ion acceptors. So let's discuss about hydrolysis first. What are the two reactions that we have to learn? That is XeF undergoing hydrolysis and XeFs. That is XeF, I just simply wrote the equation, that is xenon fluorides reacting with what all? Fluoride ion donor and fluoride ion acceptors. So let's see about hydrolysis. So the first one that we have to learn is about the formation of certain compounds. So let's see. Hydrolysis. So let's start with XeF2. How do a reaction undergoes hydrolysis? There is water. So over here the addition of water is what is happening. Addition of water. So we are adding water to this. So what is formed? We have our Xe, xenon being formed, plus we have what all else? We have HF. Okay, we have HF. We have one hydrogen and one fluorine being used up here. And we have O2. Okay, so that is what is happening here. So how do you balance this equation? You put a 2 over here, again a 2, a 2. Isn't it balanced? This is the balanced equation for the first one. And that is what? XeF2. Now let's see for XeF4. That is our second reaction. We said we have 3 xenon fluorides and we will be doing that. So let's see. The second one is XeF4 plus what? H2O. What would it give? We have an extra compound that is coming over here. There's no space, I'm writing it over here. So what is formed in the previous one? We had Xe, we had HF, we had O2, didn't we? There is something else that is formed. That is XeO3. Didn't we say that we learn about XeO3 before? That is this. The formation of XeO3 is with the hydrolysis of XeF4, and that is why we didn't discuss it before. So relate this. This is what? Formation of XeO3, and also what is this? This is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis of XeF4. Okay, so this is what is to talk about the second one also. So please look at the reaction. XeF4 plus H2O would give rise to Xe plus HF plus O2 plus XeO3. So now let's see the last equation from this. That is with XeF6. So let's learn. XeF6 plus what? H2O, because it is hydrolysis, would give rise to, first we'll write, this is not similar to the previous one, the word products. Let's write and then we'll understand. XeOF2 plus 2HF is what we get. And that too, this is not complete hydrolysis. Over here what happens is partial hydrolysis. Okay. Also this can undergo hydrolysis and form XeO2F2. So let's see how is that. We have to balance all these equations. Before that, let's see what's the next equation. That is XeF6 plus, over here what did we take? We took only one H2O. 2H2O is what we take. What would we get? We would get the same thing except that there is XeO2F2 plus 4. Okay, let's write plus HF. When you balance that, what would you get? This would become 4HF because there is 4. Okay, and over here there is 6. So 4 plus 2 6. Didn't we find this out also? By the way, it is not F2 over here, it is F4. Okay, it's OF4. So this is the equation for hydrolysis of XeF6, and the formation of both XeOF4 and XeO2F2 is also obtained. So these are the reactions that we have to learn for what? Hydrolysis reaction. And next, this is all to talk about hydrolysis. We told there's two categories, and the second category was the reaction of xenon fluorides with the donor fluoride donor atoms or fluoride acceptors. So let's see that now. So let's write reaction of xenon fluorides. I'm just writing that as like this: xenon fluorides with fluoride donor and fluoride acceptors. So let's see what all are the fluoride donors. So let's write. So let's write which all are the fluoride donors. NaF. What is Na? Sodium. NaF. Then we have RbF, KF and CSF. So look at these. What are these? Na, R, K, Cs and all. This is sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium. These are all metals, and therefore these are called as metallic fluorides. So the fluoride donor atoms are metallic fluorides. So let's write the name. Metallic fluorides. So let's see the reaction between XeFs and metallic fluoride. So to talk about the reaction, what happens is these metallic fluorides, when they react with XeF, what happens? These metallic fluorides, I told they are donors. They can give something. So what would they do? They would take their fluorides for example, if this RBF, what happens, they will take this and they will give it to the XeF2s or the what, XeF4 or XeF6. That is what is happening over here. So what would happen after they donate? What would they form? They would form an anionic species. So that is what is happening when the reaction between xenon fluorides and donor fluoride donor atoms are happening. So let's see the equations. So now let's check with the reactions. So we said xenon fluorides, what would they do? They would react with either donor or acceptor. Am I right? So we are discussing about donor. Which are the donor atoms that we know? NaF, KF, RBF and CSF. What is this? This is sodium fluoride, that is potassium fluoride, rubidium fluoride and cesium fluoride. These are metallic fluorides. We discussed all of these. Now let's see the equations. So xenon fluorides, how many xenon fluorides did we learn? We learned 3 of them. Which all were they? They were XeF2, XeF4, XeF6. So now let's write this equation with these compounds. So let's see. And I told you when they are with the donor atom, they form an anionic species. So let's see how it's an anionic species. We are only looking into consideration only about these XeFs, that is the xenon fluorides. The xenon fluorides are anionic species when they are reacting with what? Donor atoms. So let's see. XeF2. And what will we take? We'll take Na itself. NaF. What would it give? You see that we said what is this? This NaF is a donor. So what would it do? It will give this to XeF2 and this would become Na plus. So what is this? Na plus, in bracket, what would this become? XeF3 minus. So can you see this is an anionic species? The same way, let's write XeF4 plus RBF is equal to, or it gives what? I'm just rubbing this. It gives RB plus N, not N, sorry, that is XeF5 minus. So this is what is our equation. The same way, if you substitute this with 6, what would happen? This would become 7. See, this is the equations that we have to learn. You can substitute any of these donor atoms and it is easy to write. So this is what happens when XeF, or that is xenon fluorides, reacts or they have a reaction with donor atoms. So now let's see with the acceptor atoms. Okay, so fluoride acceptors. Let's see the examples for fluoride acceptors and then we will move on. So fluoride acceptors. Let's see. So the first example is PF5. Second one is SBF5. The third one is ASF5. These are all non-metals and therefore these are known as non-metal fluorides, non-metallic fluorides. And why isn't there the other? These are all what? Group 15 elements. Am I right? So, in this group 15, where are the elements in the top? They are not there because there is some reason why it is not there. Because the covalent nature decreases as you move down. So, what is that? We write here. This is group 15 and the elements have the first elements have more covalent examples. Over here what happens is these xenon fluorides reacts with these fluoride acceptors, and what happens? The xenon fluoride will donate one of their fluorine atom and these compounds would accept them. So let's see. And when they accept, what does they form? They form cationic species. In the previous one we discussed about anionic species. Now we will see about cationic species. So let's write the cationic species. So as usual, what all are reacting? Xenon fluorides and fluoride ion acceptors. So let's see. Xenon fluoride XeF2. We will start with XeF2 always. Plus what is our acceptor that we are going to mention over here? We will write PF5. Sorry, PF5. What would they give? What is happening over here? One is lost and one is added. Am I right? So let's write XeF. What happens? This becomes plus, and what is this? Put a bracket, PF6 minus. Okay? The same way we will write XeF4 plus our other compound SbF5. What would it give? It will be like, here also there is one lost, here is one gained. So XeF3 plus and SbF6 minus. In the same way you can write for what? XeF6. If it's XeF6, what happens? This becomes XeF5. This is the change that comes. So this is what is to talk about the reaction of xenon fluorides with fluoride ion donors and fluoride ion acceptors. So next is the structures of these compounds. The structures of these compounds are actually very important. So let's learn. Which all are the structures we have to learn about? XeF2, XeF4, XeF6, XeO3 and XeOF4. And we also have a compound XeO2F2, but this is not there in the textbook, but we are still learning about this. Okay, so let's see XeF2 first. Before learning about the structure, last year we have learned about the equation for hybridization. To find the hybridization of the central atom. What was that equation? Anyone remembers that? Let's write the equation. So hybridization is equal to half into what? The number of valence electrons of what? Central atom plus number of monovalent compounds. Then minus, what did we write? We had, if there is charges. If there is no charges, this is the equation. If there is charges mentioned on the compounds, then what is it? It is minus what? Charge on cation plus charge on anion. So this is our equation for finding the hybrid states. So usually we don't have these charges. If we don't have these charges, this much is just the equation. If there is these charges too, this would be the complete equation. This would be the complete equation. Okay? So now let's see. Let's draw the structure for XeF2. This equation is very important. That is why I just mentioned this equation. I think it's clear. Hybridization is equal to half into number of valence electron of the central atom plus the number of monovalent compounds minus the charge on the cation plus the charge on the anion would give you the hybridized state of the central atom. So let's see about XeF2. So what is the central atom of XeF2? That is Xe. So central atom is equal to Xe. Xe. So let's write the what? Hybridization. Hybrid state. That is equal to what? Half into, you know, this Xe comes in the group 18 elements, and hence the valence electrons are equal to 8. So we'll write 8 plus number of monovalent compounds, just the monovalent compounds. Let's see how many. There are 2 monovalent compounds, so we put 2, and this is 10 by 2, 10 by 2, that's equal to 5. Okay, so this is the what hybrid state. So let's see. sp3d, so that's 5. This is S, this is p3, there are 3 p and d. So our hybrid state is sp3d. So what would be the shape of this compound? There is 5 of them. So what is the shape? So the expected shape is trigonal bipyramidal. Am I right? So let's see what's the structure. This 1, 2, 3. Is this the structure? Yes. But now we have to see the bone pair and lone pair. This is the expected shape, but this is not the shape. So let's see the bone pair and the lone pair. So how many bone pairs are there? Bone pair is equal to 2. So what is the number of lone pairs? Lone pair is equal to what? The total number of pairs formed minus the bone pairs, that is equal to 3 lone pairs. So always when you have to give a lone pair for your structure, it should be in the equatorial position if there are 2 kinds of bone pairs. Because what is our duty? It is to reduce or minimize the repulsion. So it will be over here. So this is 1 lone pair, this is 1 lone pair, this is 1 lone pair. So what is the structure that you get? X, E and F comes here, F comes here. This is a linear structure. Okay? So this is a linear structure that we have obtained. So that is to talk about XeF2. So the structure of XeF2 is linear structure. So now let's see XeF4. So XeF4. What is the central atom? That is xenon. And hybridized state, that is what we are going to find out. That is half into valence electrons are 8, monovalent compounds are 4. Therefore, it is equal to 6. And what is the hybridization? sp3d2. So sp3d2. How many? 6 of them. So let's see what is the expected shape. So the expected shape is octahedral. Okay, octahedral is the expected shape. How does octahedral look? This is Xe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this the shape of octahedral? So let's see the bone pair. The bone pair, how many bone pairs do we have over here? Let's see. 4 bone pair. Lone pair is equal to 6 minus 4, that is equal to 2. There are 2 lone pairs. So now we have to draw the structure. Let's draw. You can keep it in any surface because all of these are 90 degrees to each other. There is no different kinds of bone pair over there. So let's just make these 2 are lone pairs. So when you take the structure, you don't consider these 2 lone pairs. So what is the structure? It's a square planar. Implies square planar. I hope you might have understood this. So now let's see the last one of xenon fluoride anode. Okay. So the next one is XeF6. I hope this is clear. I'm just rubbing this. So let's write. So what is the central atom? Central atom is always xenon, and hybridized state is what we are going to find out. So that is equal to, half into 8 plus 6. So what is that? 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 by 2 is equal to 7. So the hybridized state is 7. So sp3d3. So sp3d3. So what is the expected shape? The expected shape is pentagonal bipyramidal. So how does this shape look like? Let's draw the shape. This is XE and let's draw. This is the structure. First you will draw a pentagon and then the pyramidal structures. So these are the this is the structure. Now let's see the bone pair and lone pair. The bone pair. How many bone pairs can you see? 6 of them. So what is the number of lone pair? That is 1. 7 minus 6 is 1. So there would be one lone pair. And where would you place that lone pair? Let's see. The lone pair would be placed in this position, and hence what would happen? This would get removed, and what would be its structure? What is the name of the structure? What does this look like? Doesn't this look like octahedron? And since this was a pentagonal bipyramidal shape and the lone pair went out and hence formed this figure, it is known as distorted octahedron. Distorted octahedron. So that is to talk about xenon fluorides. So we learned first one XeF2 had a linear shape. Then the second one XeF2, XeF4. We'll write all of that so to avoid confusions. So we'll write it. XeF2 was linear. Am I right? XeF4 had square planar and XeF6 had distorted octahedral. Am I right? Now let's see the next one, that is XeO3. The structure of XeO3. So, we know oxygen is a divalent compound. It's not a monovalent compound, it's a divalent compound. And also, when you mention oxygen when connected to the central metal atom, it's always represented by a double bond. Okay, so it's always represented by a double bond. This is not halogens that I mentioned. I just wrote some figures and I just mentioned the double bond only. So, let's see the structure. So, what's the central metal atom over here? Also, it is xenon, and oxygen is 3 in number. So, let's write. Let's write the hybridized state. First, the hybridized state is equal to half into 8 plus. Can you see any monovalent compounds? There is no monovalent compounds, and hence this is equal to 4. That is 8 by 2 is 4. And now let's write the hybridization. So what is this? sp3. So let's write sp3. So that is our hybridization. Now let's see what is the shape which is usually coming. What is the expected shape? Expected shape is tetrahedral. The expected shape is tetrahedral. How does that look like? This is the expected shape. And now let's see the bone pair. Bone pair. How many bone pairs can you see? You can see 3 bone pairs. And lone pair is equal to 4 minus 3, that is equal to 1. So, where would you keep that one? That one lone pair would come over here, and this structure would be what? This would be removed because I'm just drawing it again. This is Xe, 1, 2, 3. Over here, this is O, O, O. And what do? You have to have a double bond. I told you we have to have a double bond when oxygen comes with the central metal atom. So, this is the structure, and this is known as pyramidal structure. Okay, this is the structure. So XeO3 has a pyramidal shape. So the obtained shape is pyramidal. Now let's see the xenon oxyfluorides. This was xenon oxides. Now let's see xenon oxide fluorides. Oxyfluoride, sorry. So the first one is XeOF 4 times. So what is the hybrid state? By the way, which is the central metal atom? Not central metal atom, central atom, that is xenon. So let's see the hybrid state. That is half into 8 plus. Is this a monovalent compound? No. Is this a monovalent compound? Yes. And therefore we write it like this. So 8 plus 4 is 12 by 2, that is equal to 6. And now let's see what is the hybridization. sp3d2. So sp3d2 is the structure. Now let's see what's the shape, that is the expected shape is octahedral. Expected shape octahedral. How is that? That is Xe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Isn't this the structure? Let's see the bone pair. The bone pair is equal to how many bone pair? 4 plus 1, that is 5, and lone pair is equal to 6 minus 5, that is 1. So now let's see what is the structure of this compound. Before writing the structure of this compound, I told you one more thing to be noted. Oxygen should be always represented by a double bond. So let's see. Now we put the lone pair here or here, anywhere, that's fine. I'm putting it over here, so let's mention this as here itself. So this lone pair is taken. Now what should we do? We have to arrange our atoms, that is O and RF. So let's see which are the O and the F. So we have 4 F and 1 O. So that 1 O should be mentioned with a double bond. So let's write this over here, the double bond O, and this is fluorine. So what is this structure? This structure is called as square pyramidal. I don't think you can see. Square pyramidal. Okay. So this is for XeO4. That is xenon oxyfluoride. And next one is another xenon oxyfluoride, that is XeO2F2. So let's see that. There's a 2 and this 4 becomes also a 2. So this is the central metal atom, and let's see the hybridized state. So hybridized state is equal to half into 8 plus 2 only, there is only 2, this is not monovalent compound, and that is 10 by 2 equal to 5. Let's see the hybridization. sp3d. So that is sp3d. And what would be the structure? Let's see what's the structure. The expected shape. Shape is trigonal bipyramidal. Okay, and this is the structure. That is expected structure. Let's draw. This is the expected structure. So, bone pair. How many bone pair? 2 plus 2, 4 bone pairs. And lone pair, how many? That is 5 minus 4, that is 1. So, where would you keep that? That lone pair, where would that be? That will represent it over here. Okay? And hence, this would get removed. So, here we have our Xe. Am I right? Let's mark the fluorine. This is the fluorine. There are 2 fluoride ions, and then oxygen is represented with a double bond. What is this structure? This is seesaw structure. So friends, that's all for today's lecture. I hope you might have understood it and liked it. This is to talk about the P block elements group 18. We finished the group 18. We'll continue with the rest of the P block later. So I hope this is clear to you. If you have understood it, give my video a huge thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you're new to it. And share my videos with your other friends. So see you on the next video. Till then, bye bye.